The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
Someone, anyone, please tell me why Party in the U.S.A. is stuck in my head. I don't own that song, but I believe the reason for this is the fact I live in a house with three females, and one of them might actually own the Now music CD in which that song is contained. I actually own Now, like when there wasn't a volume, like Now Volume 1, which is not its real name. It actually had some rock on it. It also had some of that sappy late 90s R&B that I kind of fell out of favor with once I discovered how badass Phil Anselmo and Pantera was. Walk on home, boy. This is Short Time Shots, your mostly daily look at scores and more. Like news from around the world of wrestling, I'm Jason Bryant. So far, this will be 14 straight episodes in the month of November. Napod Pomo, National Podcast Post Month. I'm trying it. This is the vehicle, at least for now, but there's been 25. This is the 26th episode released on the Matt Talk Podcast Network in the month of November. That's just batty. That's crazy. There likely won't be one of these on Friday night since I'll be covering the Gopher duel and putting out an episode of the Guillotine Grapevine instead. Maybe I'll record it on Saturday morning for you guys just to make that last mow of the season, or in some cases, that first snow shovel of the season worth it. In dual meets, unranked Illinois, fresh off getting beat by Army West Point last weekend, rebounded with a 19-14 win over border rival and 13th-ranked Missouri at Francis Howell High School in St. Louis on Thursday night. Missouri did have the services of All-American Grant Leith at 141, but were without Dylan Wisman at 184. Still no Zach Elam at heavyweight. Illinois had key wins at 125 as Justin Cardani beat Dak Punky, and then 3 wins in a row from 165 to 184 to take the lead heading into the duel's final 2 weights. Freshman heavyweight Luke Luffman prevailed 9-7 over Rodrigo Diaz to give Illinois the upset. Division II Colorado School of Mines shut down Northeastern Junior College 34-9. Also out in Colorado, Western Colorado beat Shadron State 28-13 in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. Elmhurst beat the University of Chicago 33-19 as the Blue Jays benefited from 3 Chicago forfeits. Maroons All-American Steve Bonsall and Ben Saracen were both victorious. A couple of junior colleges picked up wins over Division III foes as Mercyhurst Northeast top hit Bradford 31-18, while Joliet Junior College beat McMurray 36-18. Lincoln, which is in its first year as an NAIA member after transitioning from a 2-year school to a 4-year school, also beat McMurray 34-18. In Georgia, Bruton Parker, with a hyphen, knocked off Truett McConnell, sans hyphen, 38-12. Nothing reported as of recording time from CSU Pueblo and Otero, Central Baptist and Oklahoma Wesleyan, or the 2 duels out west in California. Yeah, California Community Colleges, late, like in the newspaper. Late Wednesday, however, Neosho County and head coach Nick Nother knocked off rival Labette 26-16 in Chanute. That's in Kansas. That's the action in the NJCAA, in case you were wondering. The Panthers swept 6 bouts between 149 and 197 to take the duel. A little bit of plug there for that podcast thing. Get a free month of podcast hosting with Libsyn, as there are approximately 66 now. Actually, I haven't added Nashawn Garrett. I have not added Tuesday Tilts. Cody Goodwin from the Des Moines Register's new podcast is out today. Look for that in the directory at matttalkonline.com/directory soon. But of those 60-something podcasts, 20 of them are here on Matt Talk Online and the Matt Talk Podcast Network. This means I know what I'm talking about, okay? Trust me. And there's a thing that I trust more than anything, and that is quality. And I firmly believe that quality does come at a cost. And with Libsyn, my podcast host of choice, that cost is super affordable. Sign up for Libsyn at libsyn.com and use the promo code MTO to get your first month of podcast hosting for free when you sign up. That means you get the rest of this month and next month free. Again, they've got plans as affordable as $5 a month, and they've been the backbone of this network. If you don't reach out to me for technical advice, at least hear me out on this one. Libsyn.com. Use the promo code MTO and get your free month or more. Notables on the docket for November 15th include a super solid Friday night for wrestling. Number 3 Ohio State heads to Pittsburgh to take on the ranked Pitt Panthers. Number 4 Oklahoma State will have its first duel of the season as it heads to Philly to take on Drexel. Number 6 Minnesota hosts Ryder at Williams Arena. I'll be there for that one, as will BDI. Maybe we'll have beverages afterwards. Beverages. That's me stumbling over a word and not feeling like correcting it. Number 8 Arizona State opens up its home slate against Division II Augustana, the one in South Dakota. And number 9 North Carolina State hosts Old Dominion, which was ranked last week and fell out of the rankings despite not losing a dual meet. Same thing happened to Wyoming. Binghamton faces South Dakota State in Sioux Falls because you just throw out the record books when Binghamton and South Dakota State tangle. I mean, that's just one of those just cross-country, weird mid-major rivalries that, yeah, thank you, wrestling. Bucknell heads to Northern Illinois. Division II Simon Fraser, which is in Canada, y'all. Actually, I should have said A, or buddy. Don't call me your buddy, pal. Anyway, by the way, I'm announcing the Canadian Olympic trials in December. That ought to be interesting. Division II Simon Fraser faces Oregon State in Tahoma, 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 Washington, and Rutgers heads to Fresno State, where the Bulldogs are trying to break their own attendance record, looking for 10,000-plus fans in the Save Mart Center. If you're in the neighborhood, stop on by. Notable matches from other divisions include Ithaca traveling to Stevens Institute, Manchester at Wabash, more on them in a second, Campbellsville, and the first-year program at Arizona Christian facing Embry-Riddle. Not at the same time, of course, that would be unfair. And there's a doubleheader with the men's and women's programs at Southern Oregon as they go to Portland to face Warner Pacific. Tournament-wise, Roger Williams Invitational kicks off in Bristol, Rhode Island. From the Daily Wrestling News, Minnesota Profile senior Carson Brolsma with the now overused Q&A segment called 7 Minutes. The open mat actually started that, and then now Track Wrestling's adopted it after Tom stopped doing it, rather. And now we have it in Minnesota. It's like every column in every wrestling magazine being called the Inside Trip, with apologies to Brando and Beloff from the Inside Trip podcast. That'll end my snarky note for that one. The week will continue with posts from the early signing period, not here in Shots, but in the newsletter. So some schools that went all out on day one, they're in there. Others are trickling in with their early classes. While not directly linked in this section, Thursday's releases are in that newsletter. We've got a new number one in Division III wrestling again, kind of like the Division I coaches poll. No dual meets, but still using the tournament rankings. Why? Mainly in the early season, there are a few dual meets in Division III, so those tournament rankings for the first week, maybe two now, by the Division III Coaches Association are, again, tournament points. Loris, the preseason number one, didn't lose, but slid one spot to number two. I hate tournament rankings for dual meet projections. They're relevant at the end of the year. And Rand, I'm not going to get on that soapbox. I'm not going to die on this hill right now. Next week's rankings, as the release says, will be dual strength. So we will probably go back to a new number one. Who knows? I don't know. If they'd have just held off on the team rankings for this week, maybe Loris wouldn't have dropped after being number one for the only week in their history. By the way, that new number one, the aforementioned Little Giants of Wabash. Missouri Sports Information Office features alum and UFC fighter Tyron Woodley, while Penn State has an in-house feature on Creighton Edsel, an unlikely small-town starter who came up with a win in last week's duel against Navy. Flow Wrestling looks at Fresno State's drive to break that aforementioned attendance record. I've used aforementioned now 3 times in this particular show, and eclipsed that 10,000 fan mark for their upcoming duel against the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. The Predicament, that's a old-school print publication and website out of the state of Iowa, goes back into the where are they now kind of thing with that Inside the Rivalry series. Well, where are they now and what are they all doing? Find out by clicking that link in the newsletter. Mason Beckman makes a guest appearance with a preview of the Bill Farrell Memorial on the home mat advantage at 74 kilos. So the kids are calling in the hired guns to get things done here. TheMat.com, on the other hand, gives us the full U.S.-centric Bill Farrell preview as well. Flow Wrestling borrows Tim Hands from 5 Point Move for their extensive Greco-Roman preview, not paywalled. Patch.com, a collection of 1,200 hyper-local news websites, features Penn State wrestling alum Rohan Murphy and his message to inmates at Suffolk County Correctional Facility. Rohan is an amazing dude. Born with no legs, he's got a great message to share about perseverance. The Southern Illinoisan, yes, that is the actual name of the newspaper, the Southern Illinoisan featured Carbondale Community High School coach Dennis Reagan and his recent induction into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame via the Illinois chapter. That name and location is leading you to connect some dots. Connect the dots, la 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 la. Connect the dots, la 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 la. Yeah, if you get that reference, gold star. Probably the quoter, he might get that one. Yeah, you're right. That's Allie Reagan's dad, not Pee Wee Herman. Oh wait, I just gave away the reference. Dennis Reagan, yes, Allie's dad. Good job, congrats. And the biggest Bud Heavy advocate in wrestling, Willie Saylor, drops an interview on his Mad Scouts Rockfin channel that says Blair Academy's Travis Mastro Giovanni, the number 4 recruit in the class of 2021, is heading to Oklahoma State, where his brother Trevor has just signed. On the network, we've got a big weekend upcoming in Raleigh as the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast with host Brian Reinhart talks with NC State head wrestling coach Pat Popolizio, as well, let's try that again, Popolizio, the skip, as well as Jacob Camacho, Tariq Wilson, and Hayden Hidley. They host ODU on Friday, then the Wolfpack Duels on Saturday, and the Wolfpack Wrestling Club Open on Sunday. PA Power's college podcast is up and out with Iowa's Michael Kemmer and a recap of the PA-centric college scores from last week, while 5 Point Move talks with John Anderson of the Army's World Class Athlete program, who makes his return to competition at this weekend's Bill Farrell. Also, while editing that show, Dennis Hall, numerous F-bombs edited out of the show. Dennis gets fired up. Also of note, John Anderson, I announced his regional finals and covered his state championship when he was a senior, state championship tournament, when he was a senior at Ocean Lakes High School. This is the only real story I have about John Anderson. John Anderson was 4th in the district, 3rd in the region, and 2nd in the state his senior year at 112 pounds. Go take a look at the graphic. This guy's jacked. He did some eating when he was at the academy. You can get to read those stories and more, well, maybe not the John Anderson thing about him being a 112-pound senior, at Matt Talk Online's daily wrestling newsletter. Sign up for free at matttalkonline.com/news and get the day's top wrestling stories from around the world delivered to your inbox for free every single morning. That newsletter, which you can get again at matttalkonline.com/news, is sponsored by Resolite. If you'd like to support the show and all the on-demand audio offerings, free newsletters, and historical research, you can support this program and the network by making a small monthly contribution or one-time donation by going to matttalkonline.com/join the team. Venmo, PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon, those are all supported, but here's the perk with that monthly Patreon contribution. You get the cool perks like compound-branded shirts, glasses, hats, digital preview guides, draft glasses. I'm working on coffee mugs, maybe. If you like that, let me know. Shout-outs on the show, like Rodney Williams, who always sends me a cool message when he's got a question about a podcast. Thanks, man. You've been a Patreon patron for a long time. And, of course, even the chance to be on short time like Aaron Sways. The Sways! He tells me Chinook, Kansas is beautiful this time of year. That's all I've got for you today because, I don't know, like my tagline says, you've always got time for short time. No, actually it says, I'd like to thank you for spending your time with me because you've always got time for short time. I like it when I say it faster and unscripted, but oh well, that's what we got. Happy Friday, y'all.